Welcome to class. I'm Trevor, and I post D&D videos every week, generally on Wednesdays. In this video, I'm back at the grind of making Homebrew for 5th edition inspired by Magic the Gathering. I'm just in time for Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos. And in that book, I was kind of wondering if there would be a stat block for this legendary artifact creature, Codie, the Vociferous Codex. Now, when I started playing with Strixhaven, I always thought this card was really kind of cool. Like, the mechanics seemed really interesting, and when I read the article about the Legends of Strixhaven, this is what they had to say about Codie. The Codex Vocifera is a centuries-old tome of convoluted mystical knowledge that has become grouchily self-aware. It wanders the university in a huff, constantly reading its own text aloud. If it catches you taking an interest, it will follow you around for hours until you're driven into a fit of frustration. Some believe that the Codex is a result of a Lorehold spirit-summoning spell gone wrong, while others believe it is a cruel joke by the universe. It does not take kindly to the student-granted nickname Codie, but unfortunately its objections cause the nickname to stick. So I made a stat block for Codie the Vociferous Codex. It looks like this. As you can see, it has anti-magic susceptibility and false appearance, kind of like animated armor and things like that, but I also gave it an aura of frustration. This is tied directly to the kind of lore that I just covered. This character, this creature, causes irritation to those around it because it's constantly going off on its tangents and tirades and reading its own text aloud. It has innate spellcasting, and I gave it a list of spells that it could cast. Dancing Lights, Mending, Mind Sliver, Magic Missile, Shield, Mind Spike, Confusion, and Dominate Person. To me, these were all kind of mentally taxing style spells, a lot of force and control, things like that. Honestly, I would really like this to be a kind of random assortment of wizard spells, but I wanted the stat block to be digestible, so I stuck with that. The most important part of Codie is the ability Spell Flux. When Codie casts a spell using its innate spellcasting feature, except the at-will spells, it also randomly casts a spell from the wizard spell list of 3rd level or lower. The thing about Codie the card is that it prevents you from casting permanents, so you can't play creatures or artifacts or enchantments, and your spells lead into other spells. That's dope as hell. And I really wanted that flavor to come across in this NPC. You notice that Codie doesn't have actions, right? He's not intended to be an enemy, although he certainly could be. But I just thought that playing this kind of character, where they cast Confusion, and then whether the DM comes up with a specific list or just randomly generates one from D&D Beyond, they also cast another spell. I think that is beautifully chaotic, and that's exactly the kind of flavor that I wanted to get across with this stat block. Here's some potential plot hooks that Codie could have gotten itself into. The Auric, which is the secret underground order at Strixhaven that definitely exists, don't let anyone convince you otherwise, could have kidnapped Codie. Maybe Codie has access to some pretty powerful spells, and the Auric cultists are trying to pry those spells out of it. That seems like a really awesome opportunity for a rescue mission. Alternatively, maybe Codie wandered a bit too far off campus and is in some danger. Potentially a Lorehold professor could be looking for Codie. Again, maybe because of the spells, or maybe because Codie is just an ever-present part of campus and it's gone missing. Your party could be tasked with going out and wandering through the areas outside of Strixhaven itself to find Codie and bring it back. As a matter of fact, I also made a stat block for reflective golems that I think would fit into that flavor really well. These golems have a kind of anti-magic armor, and when spells are cast on them, they bounce off. This could easily play into a kind of hostage situation for Codie, given Codie's dependence on spells. So there's a bonus stat block for you as well. And finally, another plot hook, and this one is far less serious. It could kind of have been a prank gone wrong. Maybe there's a really tense rivalry between two of the colleges at Strixhaven, and one of them kidnapped Codie and was framing the other to try to get back at them for besting one another in Mage Tower. But Codie has gone missing, and again, your players are tasked with finding them and getting them back, or maybe clearing the name of the college that didn't actually do the kidnapping. These are all just possible options, but I think just the idea of having an animated spellbook that is grouchily wandering around campus, reading its own contents and frustrating all of the people, I couldn't resist trying to incorporate that into a 5e game. Even if your game doesn't take place on Strixhaven, I think this would be an incredible random encounter, whether it's at a library or just on the road in a wilderness that is maybe more magical than natural. Coming across an artifact like this, again, it's a sentient object essentially, just seems absolutely perfect. And I wanted to create it to try to inspire you to use it in your own games, whether that is on Strixhaven or otherwise. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel. A lot of what I do here is create homebrew based on Magic the Gathering, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on a curriculum of chaos. In my last video, I talked about how I now have a Discord, so if you want to join that Discord server, the link is in the description down below. And if you have any ideas for how you could use this NPC stat block in your game, drop it in the comments, because I'd love to hear it. As I always say, be safe. Make smart life choices.